Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. Hopefully not for the last time, as we're looking at Game 4 here in the NBA Finals. Depends if you're a Celtics fan or not. I just want more hoop, to be honest with you. But we'll be taking a look at best bets in this one. Also got Playa Props up, as always, in a separate edition here. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along as long as we have hoop moving forward here. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use everything that we have up on the site, as always, to help you out with all these bets that you're making in the NBA Finals moving forward. Nate, quick take here. Are you feeling pretty good like this is going to be closed out, or where are you at with your first best bet here?
Yeah, I would be surprised if the Mavericks win a game here, considering what unfolded there in Game 3. So, yeah, Celtics -1. It seems, appealing enough for sure. I mean, maybe not the best for those of us who want to see more basketball, like you said. But, hey, Banner 18, 80-20 for the season. It has a nice symmetry to it. I mean, we were just talking about, like, all the mental aspects where Boston's just like, we know we're better than you. And now we're going to kind of twist the knife in various ways from an X's and O's standpoint. But you also saw like Joe Mazzulla challenging that one where Luka got hacked and it went off on him. And he's just like, I'm gonna get Luka on tilt right here. You see like Drew flopping when he never flops and getting that illegal screen call. And then Jalen and Jason just taking their heart. I mean, from the X's and O's standpoint, though, of course, like they've had better chess pieces. The game plan has been a masterclass, right? To just be like, look, you guys can score 60 points one-on-one, Kairuka, but you don't have anything else. And so far, the Mavs have not shown anything else. Jason Kidd has not covered himself in glory, finding something else, going to THJ way too late so that his like confidence is a little shook. I think THJ, I mean, he had like 3 rim outs, though. I mean, he was 0 for 5, but like he was the guy you wanted in those spots, taking shots, and Maxi Kleber, Jaden Hardy, not so much. So I think maybe we see more of him. I haven't seen any props up yet, but as far as like the overall shot quality update here for the series, like the Celtics still getting 8 more open 3-pointers per game, shooting 16% better. They're getting 17 more catch and shoot attempts, and Dallas is only shooting 26% on those catch and shoots. Late in the shot clock, or like 4 to 7 second range, Boston is doubling them in effective field goal percentage. So that's like when you've worked through something to get a good shot, right? And like their execution is just double what you were doing, Dallas. Their only good shooting percentage is when they have guys taking 3-6 dribbles, which is just Kairuka. So, I mean, I'm looking at those guys to keep doing their thing, getting their points and give Dallas a chance here. But the like stick-to-itiveness from Boston and just not being fazed by the first quarter haymaker, not being fazed by the near 20-point collapse in the fourth, and just like this is a team that learned from all their collapses in the regular season this year, but more so from the playoffs, and just learned. And this is exactly what you see is like that. And now they're ready to win a championship. There's no slip up from them mentally, so I just don't see them being like your Warriors did once, right? Where they were just like, yeah, we'll just drop Game 4 and then win it at home. I think the Celtics team is too hungry to have that kind of mental lapse, and so it would take like an incredible game from Dallas to pull out a win.
Kind of feels that way. I mean, it kind of felt that way at the end of the first quarter. Like when you look up and it's 31-30 at the end of the first quarter of that last game, you're like, oh, that ain't good. And even more so, I think it might have been, I don't know, whomever, Josh Hart, whoever was on the halftime broadcast, was saying like, this is terrifying if you're a Dallas fan. Jaylen Brown has played like not played like crap, but he missed all his shots. He shot like crap, and had a few rim outs. There was a lot that could have been better in the first half from Boston, and they're still, within whatever or had the lead. I can't even remember now. It was really close. Obviously, it was like a 3-point game, but and then the third quarter they just came out and step on their neck. Just that simple. And I think what it comes down to is the ceiling for the Boston Celtics is just so much higher. It's another way of saying what you said, which is like the pieces. It's like they're playing with like 4 queens on the chessboard essentially, and Dallas has 2, and that's just going to be a huge mismatch all day, every day. So let me just get right into my bet here. It's actually an under once more for the fourth quarter. It's 50.5 points now, 51.5 last game. Went under 50 as well, 51, I should say, last game. It ended at 50 there as the Mavericks did the bulk of the scoring. And I mean, game flow aside, like I just think if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, yeah, everything tightens up a ton. If it's not a close game, we saw the Celtics play a really lackadaisical actually style of offense where there's 6 minutes left and they're running the weave at the top of the key like they were running out time. It was really odd, to be honest. Not sure, maybe one of the few weird things that Joe Maz did, at least strategy wise. He does a lot of weird stuff, by the way, in general. Really oddball guy, but still makes for very entertaining. Either way, like that would be another way that this goes under, is like the Celtics are essentially running out the clock because earlier in the game at some point they hit another barrage of threes, or I believe Mike Breen called it the Celtics tsunami, I believe is what he called it there, when they dropped like 21 in a row or whatever it was, and didn't miss a three for what felt like an eternity. So there's a couple ways that this still plays out, but it's the finals and it's the fourth quarter, and it's different than every other fourth quarter that these dudes will have played, mostly for the Celtics, where I imagine that there'll be a little bit more tightening up if this is a close game as they want to end it. But either way, like the offenses for both these teams, it comes in waves, as we know, and we kind of projected that as well because of the 3-point variance for both these teams. It makes total sense. But it's the NBA Finals. Like I said, the last three, including this one, are averaging 47 a game in the fourth quarter, going under 51 or 50 and a half, so 51 points about 75% of the time in all of these games in the finals in the fourth quarter. So like it comes down to both possible game theories. Like I said, one team is winning and they just want this thing to end so that the offense gets stagnant, or it's a close game and everybody's very tight because there's a lot more at stake than a regular season game or even a semifinals game or whatever. So I'm just going to go right back to it. It's been so good to us, 3-0. There's really nothing else to say that hasn't been said. We see this pace down at about 91 in the fourth quarters. Everything that happened in this last game was even somewhat of an anomaly in game 3 in terms of the fourth quarter because of the way that Dallas came out. What was it, like a 20-2 run between the end of the third and into the fourth? So it was like all that stuff is a little bit different, but there's a number of ways to skin this cat. So I feel really good about going under 50.5.
Yeah, what happened was the Celtics were like, oh shit, we won the title basically. Like we're up 21, and they just started like daydreaming basically about the fact that they've won a title, and they almost somehow let them all the way back in it, but they were just like literally like there's still some time left. But yeah, I mean Dallas could easily just like let go of the rope here if there is another situation where Boston just hits them with the tsunami, as you put it. I don't know if the offense is going to continue to flow down the fourth quarter, but like yeah, you've been hitting this consistently. Keep riding with it. It's only 1 point different. I do think Kairuka will put up a bunch of points here, even in defeat, if that is what happens here, just because of the Celtics game plan, right? Which is just like, we are not doubling you no matter what. Only in for a little bit in game 2 when Luka, had that insane first half. Did they blink a little bit and start sending some extra help? Otherwise, yeah, it's just like have at it, guys. So the bet here, which is available at FanDuel because the head-to-head bets are not usually going to be on the same team, but Kyrie and Luka over 57.5 combined at FanDuel is intriguing. I think if you want to use any other book and you want something here, Kyrie to get his prop 25 points and to go under 4.5 assists is plus 240. Which is appealing if you think about Kyrie as just a pure bucket getter, which is what he is, and the fact that the Celtics are not letting anybody else get off. So I mean, he actually had more potential assists in this last game than Luka because Luka was too busy, yelling at Mark Davis to actually play. But I mean, he still wound up with 27. Did Luka, right? I can't believe he had 10 points in that second half. Like he seemed like absolute trash. He still had a 40% usage rate while he was out there. Kyrie, I mean, jumped from 23% usage to 34% usage. And as we saw, no longer in his head. Like, he just can't play in the Garden anymore, apparently. He's cursed himself by stomping on Lucky, and all the sage in the world is not going to help him, apparently, because, yeah, I mean, combined with great defense from Jrue Holiday, just couldn't score. But then comes back home, 35 points, 4 for 6 from 3. And it's just like, who else might Dallas get some offense from here? I mean, PJ's doing all right with 15 points. Derek Jones Jr. was benched completely. I mean, 16 minutes after he shot an air ball in game 2, it seems like his confidence is shot. Aside from PJ, the rest of the team is 5 for 22 from 3. So for these guys to get about 60, it doesn't necessarily mean Dallas is going to be, in this or get to 100 for the first time in the series. It's just like, that's what they have to do to even resemble a close game here is for these guys to just score in bunches. Last thing is Kyrie, Mr. Undefeated in closeout games. I'm not as sure about his elimination game record, but in the closeouts this season, this playoffs, I mean, 30, 22, and 36, and he's hit at least 4 threes. So also looking at some head-to-head props for him to just hit some threes. I mean, he's even with Drew Holiday in terms of the amount of threes taken. That's a good head-to-head look as well. But yeah, more so just Kyrie to score and not get many assists.
I have that number for you right here, sir. In potential elimination games for Kyrie Irving, of which he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 of those came on the Cavs. 27 points per game. Not a bad look there. He's gone over this number in all but 2 games. So that this is going to be a number that's still well within his region or range, I should say, in these elimination games, at least according to past stuff. But regardless, I agree. Like, look, he made a lot of tough shots. Drew Holiday's just so good on defense. It's unreal. And Kyrie still went 6 for 8 with Drew guarding him last game. And you know, they tried to get switches off of him. That's probably the most annoying part about having Drew Holiday guard you is you can't switch him off of you because he somehow gets around every single screen above it. Like he's already moving above it. He's one of the smartest players in the league. Let's not make this a Drew celebration just yet. But everybody who's watched this show for any amount of time knows how we feel about Drew Holiday as a player. I'm going to close it out with another under, man. I'm just going to go under in the game. And I've been like just talking about it and not making it an official pick in all of the episodes that we put out for this finals. I've just been like, I way prefer the under. Anyway, I'll take the under fourth quarter, and I'm not doing it again. I'm taking under fourth quarter, and I'm taking under in the game because, and honestly, in part because of the fourth quarter, which makes me feel great about taking under in the game. And there's always going to be one of these quarters. I mean, even the second quarter of this series, dude, like 46 points per game. It's actually lower scoring than the fourth quarter in the first 3 games of this series. So there's always these moments in time, and I think a lot of Boston fans were trying to say that about this last fourth quarter where they were like, hey, look, man, shot variance is going to happen. They just hit a ton of shots in the third quarter, so obviously it's going to average out in the fourth. It's like that's not totally the reason, but that is going to be something that you see consistently happen in this series as well, as long as it goes. But look, the total has averaged 201 per game in this series, right? It has not gone very high. I believe it was game 2 had the highest total at this point, but the Mavs failing to score 100 points is probably the headline of the entire series more than anything, because as good as the Celtics have been on offense because of the way that they move the ball, there's been stagnation for sure. And we could also question some of the difficult shots that Tatum decides he wants to take when even he said it at a timeout and was audible to everybody, right? He was mic'd up and he was like, hey man, let's not take any bad shots. Let's keep passing it around. And he goes, myself included. And I was like, yourself included. Yourself is it. You're the one taking those bad shots, Jay. And it's fine. He's a bad shot maker, right? Not the best, but he's good enough. Either way, like those types of shots are the thing that help us also stay under this total, to be honest. And there is a little bit of on the Mavericks side, they have to do that. You called it out with Kairuka. Their game plan is no, Kyrie and Luka take tough shots over Derrick Jones open shots, who, like you said, isn't even on the floor anymore. THJ would actually hurt this over. They were really bad with him in his 16 minutes in this last game, which might not be the most fair stat to put out against THJ, but his defense has not been good when he's been on the floor pretty much all season. So that would actually hurt my under a ton if he does get a few more minutes, especially because nobody else that's not named Kyrie, Luka, and sometimes PJ are making shots at all, right? Except for that Josh Green random fourth quarter 3. That was nice. But the pace is at 93. It's actually the exact same pace in the first half of games and the second half of the first 3 games. 93.3 exactly in both halves. The difference is the first quarter has both these teams have a better than 110 offensive rating. Don't have that in any other quarter. In fact, in the second half, a 101.4 offensive rating for the Celtics, 107 for the Mavs, who are really bad in the second quarter. The second quarter has been their absolute downfall in this series. It's below 100 there for the offensive rating for them in just the second quarter alone. No bueno. And it's really when they either let the Celtics back in it or they play themselves out of it, has been the case. But either way, like we can bank on one of those quarters, I think, for both of these teams. The other thing is there's no easy buckets, right? If Boston's going to shoot 34% from 3, which is why I'm hesitant to just say they've been awesome on offense, right? Well, they've been good. It's the volume. And that's what, to be fair to Joe Maz and company, it's working, right? Like take 42 threes because You only got to make like 13 of them for it to be worth it. And that's about what they're doing, or going about 10 for 38, which is still like getting the volume up. And the fact that the Mavs know, like, well, we've got to hit threes too, or we can't hang with this Celtics team. It's like, you don't got the guns, baby, to be shooting that far from the basket. Like you said, Derek Jones airball and stuff, but you need his defense for Tatum. It's all in balance for them. But the under still would play into either team. Like either team, what I'm trying to say is I don't think either team gets an advantage if this thing it goes higher scoring or not, to be honest, because if it goes higher scoring, it does mean that the Mavs have everything clicking. I just don't see the others coming to play. Like, you're not going to get more than one other guy at this point from the Mavs that's really helping out. As we've seen, we talk about the combined nearly 60% usage rate for both these dudes for Kai Ruka. That just it gets you tired by the second half. Let's just call it what it is, man. Like, if you're taking all those shots, you saw Kyrie as soon as Luka was out in the fourth quarter of this last game when he fouled out. It was like, oh yeah, he looked good for a couple of minutes, and I was like, damn, I'm tired from taking every shot and having to, like, there's no letting up on the other side of the court. There's 5 dudes that can shoot threes 100% of the game. Do you know what that does to a team? So I do think it's going to continue to go under this 211.5 number, which it hasn't even come close to touching yet in the first 3.
Now that Xavier Tillman has hit 1 3, it is he is part of that 100%
right
of people who can hit threes. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the look, especially as the series wears on. You start to see like people tighten up, even if it's not a game 6 or 7. It's just the familiarity of it, right? Executing your defensive assignments, and especially in the finals, like we've seen every closeout game for the last 4 years, the losing team has been under 100, right? It's the end of a long season, and like you're just going to kind of go down, showing how tired you are, and you only get one night rest here for the first time in the series. So
the other part.
Yeah, under is definitely the look here.
Yeah, that's definitely the other part. Going to see some tired legs, probably some tired shooting. So careful with all the overs you might want to take on too many guys and those player props. That's definitely a big part of it. But that is all the time we have for you in Best Bets, potentially last Best Bets video of this 2024 NBA season. I hope not. As a Celtics fan, Nate might hope so, but we all just want some more hoop, man. So check out the player props video. We also have up alongside these, as we always do. And until we see you next, happy betting.